It is round of 64 Thursday in the 2024 men's NCAA tournament. One of the greatest days, if not the greatest day in the entirety of the year on the sports calendar, or really any calendar for what it is worth. We welcome you to this Thursday here on the early line on SportsGrid. Over these next 3 hours, we get you set with everything you need to know before the big dance truly gets underway today and the madness intensifies. We will look at all 16 matchups on this round of 64 Thursday and go through the madness as well. Paint those paths to a Final Four run in Phoenix, Arizona, and who we believe is cutting down the nets as a national champ. If you haven't filled out your brackets, you will have all the information you need here over these 3 hours to do so, and some best bets on the first day of the big dance in the round of 64. But we've already been dancing the last 2 nights in Dayton, Ohio. First 4 action on Tuesday. It was a dismal offensive effort out of Virginia. Colorado State wins by 25. They're the 10 seed in the Midwest region. We saw Wagner win its first ever NCAA tournament game in program history. And last night, we saw more of the same. Slow offensive outputs from the high major teams, or at least those bigger schools, and a really good game between the teams battling for their first ever victory in the big dance. We start with the nightcap, the final game of the first 4 in Dayton, Colorado versus Boise State. DRS, when this line opened up on Selection Sunday, it was a virtual pick'em between the Broncos and the Buffs. By the time we got the tip last night in Dayton, the line had worked in favor of Colorado, 3.5-point spread in favor of CU, and the line movement was correct. Colorado wins by 7 in a low-scoring affair, 60-53 over Boise State.
I thought it would happen. I thought Colorado was the better team overall, but also you're taking a look at handicaps, right? Because usually there's a home team and an away team. Technically, Ben, both of these teams are away teams here because it's not their gym. Sightlines are a little bit different. Nerves obviously playing in your first round of the tournament here, and that's what you got. Look at the first half. 26-24 lead from Colorado. Yeah. They held on the second half, 34-29. Actually, Boise State made a nice charge against them with about 3 to 4 minutes to go, but Colorado was the better team, able to hold on. I told you yesterday, Colorado is one of the better three-point shooting teams in the country percentage-wise, and you might be able to lean on that and be a factor. They were 4 of 15 from three-point range, 26%. So quite frankly, if you were giving me, Ben, the handicap from yesterday, hey, Donnie, I know you like them to shoot three-point shots. They're going to shoot under 30%. I probably would have told you Boise State won that basketball game, but that's because Boise State went 2 of 18 from the three-point line for 11% as a team. And quite frankly, Boise State, that doesn't get to the free throw line a lot. They only had 6 free throw attempts yesterday, and they converted 5. Colorado was the better basketball team, but from a handicapping perspective, I didn't handicap it all that well, but sometimes better be lucky than good here. Colorado moves on.
DRS, a lot of people probably handicapping the game, looking at 2 very efficient offenses despite slow tempos and taking the over. When we spoke yesterday, around 10 a.m. Eastern time, the total was 140.5. By the time we got to tip in the nightcap in Dayton, it was up by 3 to 4 points in most spots, 144.5 on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Obviously, it stayed well under 60-53. A disappointing effort out of Boise State. Their 3 best players, Tyson Dagenhart, who is a first-team All-Mountain West selection for a second consecutive year, Omar Stanley and Max Rice, probably their 3 leaders in that starting 5, combined for just 12 points in the entirety of the game. Colorado played really good defense under Tad Boyle, but when you look at the Broncos, DRS, 10 NCAA tournament games now in program history. They are 0 for 10. That is the most appearances in a big dance, the most games in a big dance without a single victory in the history of the men's NCAA tournament. Meanwhile, for CU, a team to pay attention to. Colorado rallied down the home stretch of this regular season as they got healthier. They won 8 straight in the Pac-12 tourney title, ultimately came up short against Oregon. Last night, a single-digit favorite. They've covered in their last 6 games as a single-digit favorite, and now the Buffaloes, DRS, will be that 10 seed in the South region. An intriguing round of 64 matchup tomorrow against Florida. The Gators also playing their best ball at this moment, also reaching their conference tournament title game, coming up short against Auburn in that SEC championship. But Florida plays with pace. Colorado will have to up the ante tomorrow offensively to hang with the Gators.
Yeah, they will have to do that. But also, sometimes you like this, and I bring this up quite a bit. You saw Colorado, who's an efficient team here, wasn't all that efficient, particularly from the three-point line. Sometimes you want to get those out of the way and still pick up a victory, because we know your regular season statistics should line up with what we're going to check out here in the tournament. You're just looking at averages, right? If you're an average shooting three-point shot team, you expect the average that night. If you're a very good three-point shooting team, you expect to be above average that night. Colorado was terrible from the three-point line. If that switches around against Florida, which there will be opportunities to score, that should help Colorado. Winning ugly sometimes helps that team propel, because you didn't expect to do that and you still won anyway. You can reach on that and draw down in the next game.
When you look at Colorado, their leader, KJ Simpson, a big night last night, but off to a slow start offensively. Just 6 of 18 from the floor, but 6 of 6 from the charity stripe, hitting clutch free throw after clutch free throw, 19 points, 11 boards. It was really Tristan da Silva who was the one bright spot offensively for Colorado, 20 points, 3 of 6 from deep. The Buffs now 39.1% from three, 8th best in the country. Last night they entered with the 5th best three-point shooting percentage, 39.6%. So it wasn't their best night, but they can stack it up offensively. The Buffaloes now in a dead pick'em. It is minus 110 for Colorado, minus 110 for Florida in that 7-10 matchup in the South region, total at 159.5. I don't think Colorado has that slow of an offensive game once again. Now we get to the first matchup in the first four on a Wednesday evening, in what a game it was. Montana State into the NCAA tournament for a third consecutive season, but looking for its first victory in the big dance. Grambling State into its first NCAA tournament ever, looking, of course, then for its first NCAA tournament victory. And it seemed like the Bobcats of Montana State would roll. They got out to a 14-point lead, under 15 minutes left in regulation, before Grambling turned on the Jets. They forced overtime and in OT, just looked like the more confident team. 88-81. Dante Jackson and his Tigers keep it rolling into the round of 64. First ever game in tournament history, first ever victory in NCAA tournament history for Grambling.
Yeah, take a look at 41 rebounds there as a team for Grambling to only 27 for Montana State. They controlled the boards here, but also for two teams that we thought might not be all that efficient coming in, particularly Grambling. Grambling shoots over 50% as a team from the floor, 40% from three-point range, and close to 80% from the free throw line. You take a look at things that are an anomaly, that's one of them. But all that we talk about here, Ben, is it's not 3 games, not 5 games, it's not 7.
Nope.
Just bring the heat in that one game. You can overtake just about anybody if you play well, and Grambling did that. And also, very easy to tuck your tails and run at that point, down double digits in the second half. Hey, it was a nice run. Let's enjoy it for what it was. But to come all the way back and force overtime, then win that overtime period, 16-9, and going way over the total in this game with Grambling, cashes in with 88 points. I didn't see that one coming.
Total 133.5. Again, it went well over, but was over in regulation for what it was worth as well. Grambling this year had the 4th hardest schedule in non-conference, according to Kenneth Pomeroy. They scheduled some of the big boys at the high major level, and the Tigers now again in non-conference play, the beneficiaries of it. Grambling this year, 8-11 against the spread as an underdog. That includes their non-conference slate as well. Jamil Kofer off the bench for Grambling, 19 points, was really that spark plug as the Tigers started their rally. So Grambling, as a reward, goes into the round of 64, where in Indianapolis, they will take on Purdue, the number 1 seed in the Midwest region. The Boilermakers, a 25.5-point favorite against Grambling, hoping that another 16 seed who won in the first 4 doesn't pull off what we saw a season ago.
Yeah, and exactly. It'd be a worst-case scenario, because if you get knocked off in the round of 32 or the Sweet 16, it's probably against a quality opponent. If Grambling comes and takes down Purdue, the headlines are going to be sweet there for Purdue, baby.
You got to just cut down the basketball program in West Lafayette. Around the association we go next.